Thank you so much, Mr. Kobe. So we'll come to the Town Hall chamber. Again, if you would like to speak to the council, we do ask that you step forward, state your name and address. You will be given 3 minutes to speak. And at the sound of the chime, we do ask that you conclude your comments.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Berg, Mayor, all the members of the council. Hello, thank you for hearing us tonight. My name is Liz DuPont-Deal. I've lived in Windsor since 1999. I want to express my concern about important issues facing Windsor and our state and our country, and respectfully ask that you give them timely and urgent consideration. ICE has been unlawfully kidnapping people in Connecticut and around the country, very often without warrants, and then refusing to follow due process. In coming months and years, we can expect more, not less, of this behavior, as ICE's budget is slated to significantly increase and based on statements from federal officials. I believe many of you share my values of wanting Windsor to be a safe and welcoming community for all people, for people to know that they are safe to go to work, to go to school, and get medical care, and where we express our values by standing up for what is right. Many of us are concerned at news of traffic surveillance cameras and other technologies, including the flock system and the implementation of these technologies, combined with the stated intent of ICE and federal officials. Therefore, I ask that you act swiftly, thoughtfully, and thoroughly to protect all Windsor residents against possible misuse of power and these technologies. Please look for best practices in other communities and seek input of residents who can help. With traffic cameras collecting our data, protections and transparency are needed. It is encouraging that the council has a committee that will be considering these issues. I hope and trust that this will be a first step in adopting strong policies to ensure that all students in Windsor schools and all people in our communities know that they are safe from ICE and from federal overreach and illegal actions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hillary Carpenter, and I live at 45 Bradford Drive. I am heartened to know that there are folks looking into Windsor's use of the flock surveillance cameras. I am here today to add my voice to those who are gravely concerned about this dangerous and unprecedented system. There is a reason why we have a warrant process. It protects constitutionally guaranteed rights of all people. This system completely bypasses that process, and that is why flock is the subject of lawsuits and pushback throughout the country and throughout Connecticut. When I talk to folks about flock, the first response is always, "What's that?" They have no idea. There were no informational meetings about this system. It was just done. Where we had numerous informational meetings about the road diet, we had none about an invasive, unregulated surveillance system that affects us all. When I tell folks how flock works, reactions run from shock to outrage. The idea that some police department in another state can use our police department to access data on immigrants or women seeking reproductive health care is unfathomable, but here we are. My request to the council is simple. Turn the cameras off, all of them. Put a pause on the project until a determination is made as to whether it can comport with Windsor's values and state law, specifically the Trust Act. I submit to you that it will not be possible to make this system align with our laws. Our police department has no control over how it's used by other law enforcement agencies. The only power it has is to turn them off. We should also be informing people of the cost of these cameras to the taxpayers, the locations of these cameras, and all other pertinent information in a public way and in a timely way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brad Smolkin, and I reside at 258 Kinswick Lane in Windsor. I'm here to talk with you about important legal, moral, and protection of democracy issues that are raised by the Windsor Police Department's sharing of data with Flock Safety. It's a fact that the CEO of Flock Safety has admitted that Flock has shared the data that it collects with ICE and Homeland Security without ensuring that those agencies are not using the data illegally. This may be a violation of two Connecticut statutes, the Data Privacy Act and the Trust Act. From April 1st to June 9th of this year, Windsor's data was included in nationwide searches 54 times using the search term immigration, and once for a nationwide search for a woman from Texas who had an abortion. Let that sit with you for a minute. There are constitutional legal objections that you've already heard about to some extent. The Fourth Amendment provides that the right of the people to be secure in their persons against unreasonable searches shall not be violated. The Supreme Court in 2018, in a case called Carpenter versus the United States, held that the Fourth Amendment protects a person from searches of their aggravated travels without a warrant. There's a powerful moral objection to Windsor sharing license plate data with ICE and Homeland Security. Homeland Security and the Department of Justice have stripped people of basic due process rights, resulting in the arrest, detention, and fast-track deportation of people who appeared for their scheduled hearings at immigration courts, as they were required by law to do. This is a Kafkaesque nightmare, which is both unconstitutional and morally repugnant. The Trump administration's deportation of undocumented immigrants has not been directed against the so-called worst of the worst criminals, the basis on which Trump campaigned for election. Rather, ICE is carrying out ethnic cleansing against black and brown long-term residents with no criminal records and no pending charges. There is an issue of protection of democracy here. There's a real and present danger that Flock's technology will be misused by Trump and the Trump administration against those who oppose his ongoing implementation of a dictatorship. In conclusion, the people of Windsor do not want to live in a police state in which the slogan, "Big Brother is watching," is our reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, brothers. My name is Steve McKay. I reside at 335 Palisado Ave in Windsor. I'm here in opposition to the Flock system and some of the ramifications of that system. I had a friend of mine that was recently traveling through Michigan, and there was a traffic stop that was stopping all vehicles, and he was talked to, and they asked him, "What were you doing in Maryland last week?" So this system is very extensive, and the network is almost beyond comprehension in the invasiveness and the surveillance of American citizens. I'm not here because I'm opposed to Flock for ICE. That's a valid reason to be opposed to Flock. I'm here in opposition for myself and my other members of the community that have not broken any laws, that are essentially being surveilled and data collected. I mean, how far does this go? Do we have microphones in our homes? So that's it. I'm opposed to Flock, and I would hope, upon hope, that the town council could do something to mute this system or somehow not participate. That's it. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, member of the councils, my name's Kevin Doyle. I live at 143 Palisado Avenue, and I too am here to express my opposition to the Flock system. I'll try not to be repetitive in the remarks that have been made already. That's covered a lot of the important territory. I fully support the use of speed cameras, red light cameras, and cameras used by the Windsor Police to support crime and motor vehicle incident investigation. But that's not what we have with the flock system. What we have is data stored on a privately owned storage and retrieval system that can be accessed by anyone with a login and a password. Flock says on their website that their system is built for secure, responsible use with customer permission, audits, and limited data retention. But their terms and conditions, which you can read on their own website, say otherwise. Their protection is entirely illusory. They retain the right to the data. They say they will anonymize it, but if you look closely at what they determine to be anonymizing the data, and I'm going to leave my written remarks with you so you can read a detailed analysis, that anonymization does not include the vehicles. It is subject only to what they consider commercially available standards, and they reserve the right to retain a perpetual and royalty-free right to use and distribute that data in accordance with any flock service offerings. The data that's collected in our town is never going away. There are serious constitutional issues that are raised by this data collection. Some of the previous speakers have alluded to them, but the Supreme Court on 2 cases that are very analogous to what's happening with the flock data system have considered that the ability to track the movements of personnel through an extensive network, whether it be cell phones or GPS, is a constitutionally protected right under the Fourth Amendment. For the town of Windsor to subject its residents and visitors to this level of intrusive monitoring through an integrated camera network and amounts to waiving the protection of the U.S. and the state constitution. Instead of a warrant obtained by applying to a judge, this data is going to be available with a click of a mouse button. It takes only a cursory search of the internet, and again, I've put a few citations in my written remarks, to see how this data has been abused. And I'd encourage you to take a look at it. But with my limited time, I want to say that if you're going to...
Thank you so much. Your time's up.
Thank you. And I'll conclude by saying if we are going to
Thank you so much.
endorse,
Thank you.
if we're going to endorse surveillance with
Thank you
our
so
town
much.
budget, it'll be the last time I vote in favor of passing one. Thank you.
Thank you. And, excuse me, Mr. Doyle?
Mr. Doyle, did you want to
Mr.
leave
Doyle,
your-
if you would like to leave the commentary, you can provide those to the town manager. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Eric Weiner at 130 Palisado. I'd like to read you a quote. I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. That's a statement that was made in 2009 by the lead investor in Flock System, a gentleman named Peter Thiel. That name may be familiar to you because he used to employ J.D. Vance and propelled him into the vice presidency. I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. When I look to do business, I first look at the people and the ethos behind a company. This company, which takes its direction from its funders or they go out of business, is incompatible with the values of Windsor, full stop. There are other towns, you'll recognize some of these names, that have had similar discussions like this. Denver, Austin, Evanston, Illinois, Oak Park, Illinois, they have chosen to turn off their flock system. There is currently a federal case pending in Norfolk, Virginia, where a resident has sued the town for some number of millions of dollars in damages for just those Fourth Amendment violations that were cited by some of the attorneys that spoke earlier. I have actually an outline of an action plan that I'd like to see the town make or participate in. The first would be pause, and I'd like to see this done within the next 2 weeks, pause the use of the flock system at Windsor until the public has had a better chance to understand the implications and the costs and the benefits. And there are benefits to the system. Require and hold sessions like we did for the POCD or the road diet. This is a matter of long-term importance, actually much more important than either of those, because it's about our civil liberties that the town gave away without full consideration. After that, I'd like to see the council establish a task force made up of residents, members of the police department, town staff, town council members, to work through these issues and understand how this system either aligns or doesn't with Windsor's values, and then make a recommendation to the town council for action. In parallel with that, in the interest of openness, I'd like to see the town within the next couple of weeks publish on our website the location of the 16 cameras, any contracts or addenda or
Thank you so
licenses
much. Your
that we
time is
have
up.
with Flock,
Thank you so much. Your time is up.
copies of any
Thank you
payments
so much. Your time
and
is
any
up.
future
Thank you so much.
budgets that we have.
Mr. Weiner, your time is up. Thank you.
I understand.
Thank you.
I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible.
If
Do
you want to
you-
lead the action plan, thank you so
Do
much.
you, I'll email it. Do you want that company doing business with
Thank you
this
so
town?
much.
Madam Mayor,
Mr.
we
Col- Yes,
we do
I
have
was
one
going to
individual
call
with
your
their hand
attention
raised.
to the caller online. Thank you.
To our caller online, you are now unmuted.
Hello, my name is James Shabbat Weingart. I live at 20 Tiffany Drive, and we moved to Windsor in December of 2024. I'd like to endorse all of the comments of the previous speakers and Eric Weiner's action plan, and just reiterate our opposition to the flock cameras. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. First, I want to thank you all for the work you do for this town. I believe that all of you have our best interests in mind, and I just want to make that statement first. My name is Ken Ehrman. I live at 428 Broad Street. My wife and I have been actively involved here in town since 1983. We've lived there on Broad Street for about 20 years. Recently, we became aware of the town's use of the flock camera system, and we find it very disturbing. Upon doing some research, we find that these cameras do nothing but spy on us. The data is shared, can be used nationwide. We find that especially unsettling in these current times. In theory, that data is supposed to be protected, but doing a little digging, we find that hackers can access that data and use it any way they want. They gather information about my driving habits, my patterns. I find it a little absurd that I pay taxes to the town pays to have these cameras in place, and I don't have a voice in that. I don't get to opt out. We respect the work of our police department and the work they do to keep us safe, and we like the idea of cameras for speed enforcement, red light enforcement, those sorts of things that have a direct impact on keeping us safe. We just do not like the idea of being spied on with, it's just unimaginable the more I dig into what the system can do, and we lose control. I happen to have a couple of bumper stickers on my car, my motorcycle, that the current administration nationally could find offensive, and that could come back to bite me because of these cameras. And I think that is just such an insult to our First Amendment rights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kristen Triff. I live at 245 Prospect Hill Road. My husband was born and raised here. I've lived here for 20 years, and I've raised my children here. And I would like to thoroughly second everything that the previous commentators have brought up regarding Flock's violation of the Connecticut Trust Act, regarding the moral ambiguity, to put it mildly, of the company's founders and intentions and the uses to which it's being put. I am profoundly disturbed at the idea that someone seeking an abortion, for example, can come from another state and be tracked and prosecuted based on their presence here, or ICE or anything else. As a Trinity College professor, I have watched many of our students being not only prosecuted, but their data and our interactions with them being mined, and the very strong-armed tactics of the current administration to find out data on them in order to use it against them. I have Palestinian students. One of my students was shot for being Palestinian, and I guarantee you under the current administration, he is not going to be protected, and his rights will not be protected. I feel that this is a very slippery slope. I do not want any part of it. I don't want my tax dollars going for it, and I particularly don't want to be part of it without any full disclosure ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Adam Gutchin. Back in 2019, the council failed to exercise its policymaking powers and authority on a matter of significant public concern that impacts our rights, that's highly consequential. I'm pleased that the council is now remedying this mistake, error, or oversight under the auspices of the Health and Safety Committee, which directed the administration to draw up a policy governing the use of this flock data. So I'm pleased that the council has started to take those steps. There's a silver lining here that in the council's failure 6 years ago, which is that a policy that might have been adopted back then would seem Pollyannish today in light of the realities of what the federal government is doing. And even a couple months ago, when these conversations were kicked out, I think some of the discussions were for what is now a naive view of how this data is actually used. You all have a lot to think about. The Health and Safety Committee has a lot to think about. And I am pleased that you are going to exercise your policymaking power. I do not endorse any particular course of action that has been made tonight, but I have always advocated for this council to use its powers and not be shrinking violets. So please do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.